bathroom market. Apologies that we're a little bit late. We are having quite a few technical problems this morning. There are 3 speakers. I know you can only see one and me at the moment, but they will hopefully arrive in due course. So this morning we are joined by the NKBA, which is the National Kitchen and Bath Association, and we have, even though it says Sherry on her name, we have Suzie Williford joining us, who is EVP and Chief Strategy Officer for the NKBA. And we also have Veronika Miller joining us later, and she is a principal for M2 Consulting to the Global Connect, the NKBA Global Connect, and Sherry Qualls, who is strategic consultant to Global Connect. So I think we're going to start with Suzie, who's going to just introduce NKBA and what it is and some background about it. Then we're going to go on to discuss some of the trends and the design trends and the market outlook in America and how British businesses can get involved. This is probably not going to work because we're having so many technical problems this morning. I'm just going to share the presentation, and as if by magic it should appear. There you go. It did work. Right, and I'm going to mute myself because nobody needs to hear me. Right, take it away, Suzie.
Good morning, everybody, and again, our apologies for the delay on this. Technical problems, you know, the internet is a wonderful thing when it works, and it's very frustrating when it doesn't. So we've actually kind of moved around to where we can all present and visit with you. As you were just told, my name is Suzie Williford, and I'm the Chief Strategy Officer and EVP of the NKBA. You see at the top NKBA KBIS because our association actually owns KBIS, which is the largest trade show in North America for the kitchen and bath industry. An overview of what you're going to be hearing today is I'm going to tell you a little bit about the NKBA, and then you'll hopefully by the end of this have a better understanding of the American kitchen and bath market and some market data on that. You're going to get some information, more information on our association and the Global Connect program. We'll talk about KBIS and what's going to be happening at our 2024 show, and then to understand the design trends of the kitchen and bath market in the US. The NKBA is the trade association in North America for the kitchen and bath industry, and we have 70 chapters in the US and Canada. We have about 50,000 members. NKBA is an all-industry association that I'll explain to you in a second. Next slide. When we talk about the fact that it's an all-industry trade association, what that means is in the US and I'm sure most of the world, most trade associations represent one sector of the industry, like manufacturing or architects or designers all have their own individual association. We run across in North America many associations that are singular focused associations. The NKBA is unique in the fact that we are an all industry trade association. So all of our members are equal members. We have designers, architects, builders, remodelers, retail showrooms, big boxes, installers, manufacturers, manufacturer reps. It's very broad based, and of course the design community. What's interesting about it, it's a very large association with about 50,000 members, and it represents 189, actually it's $179 billion for the kitchen bath industry in the USA. And our goal is to lead, to empower, and inspire the entire community. Let's see if our video will work here. We have a little video to play for you.
Sorry, I don't think it's going to. I'm really sorry, Suzie.
That's all right. Let's just move to the next slide. So we have 3 key areas of focus. We have membership, we have learning and research, and partnership and events. Under the membership, we have about 14,000 members, designer members, 3,800 of the builder and remodelers. Showrooms and dealers are 3,644, and then of course retailers 8,052. So as you can see, we represent a large amount of individual companies that then bleed out to the 50,000 members. In our area of learning and research, we do certifications for certified kitchen and bath designers. We have affiliated schools that are mostly colleges with programs in design and in some workforce development. We have student chapters throughout the US and Canada. We offer a badge program, which is a accreditation that gives significance to one particular area of expertise. We do CEU webinars all throughout the year, as well as at our trade show. And then we have a planning guideline that helps the designer and a remodeler work forward on preparing a kitchen and bath. We also do an extensive amount of research, which has become very well respected in the North American market, to the point that we have media that is continuously reaching out to us to find out our pulse on the industry. And in that, we do the Kitchen and Bath Market Index. We do a biannual market outlook. We do the annual design trends, which you'll hear a little bit about today. We did research on a luxury kitchen, outdoor kitchen, home technology, independent showrooms, what they want, need, and do for a living. And then, of course, the millennial kitchen and tech research. This is just part of the research, and it's a very important thing that we do because it gives a really good view of what's going on in the kitchen and bath marketplace in the US. Under the partnership and events, which is something we've gotten even busier with over the last few years, we have KBIS, which I will tell you a little bit about later in this seminar. We do the Luxury Kitchen and Bath Summit. We do Design Trend Summits, Outdoor Kitchen Summit, Sustainability, which is a very important discussion these days, Design and Tech and how they go together Summit, the Healthy Kitchen, the Futurist Summit, and we have had a lot of 60th anniversary chapter events. The NKBA turned 60 years old in 2023. We're real proud of that. And so we've been celebrating that throughout the country. Now we'll talk a little bit about the North American market outlook, and I'm going to turn it over to Sherry Qualls. We have to move around here. Sorry.
Hi, Sherry Qualls here to speak to the North American market outlook. Thank you so much for this opportunity. As Suzie mentioned, the NKBA really has a very dedicated department to develop proprietary research specifically geared to the kitchen and bath marketplace. One of the most important pieces is the annual market outlook study. It is complemented by a mid-year pulse check, if you will, and also quarterly kitchen and bath market index reports. So the information we're going to be sharing with you today is from our July mid-year report. And as you can see here, the purpose of this study is to really determine the size of the market, understand a little bit about growth estimates, try and understand and analyze changes in consumer spending behaviors and patterns, as well as looking at the high-level implications of other external macro indicators like the Fed and our concerns about interest rates and potential recession. Before we get into the data, some high-level key findings that you should keep in mind. While we are going to talk about the fact that all of our major indicators suggest declines, those are declines off of a very robust post-pandemic activity. So one of the things you want to keep in mind is that because the pandemic created an artificial spike, frankly, in global housing and associated product purchases, in North America, it certainly was off the charts. One of the good things is, and we will talk some more about this, is that as we look at the $179 billion marketplace, this is a 21% increase over pre-pandemic indicators. And so consequently, we are seeing declines, but that's really because of the artificial impact of the pandemic. So some key takeaways. We've revised our estimates up from 168 billion to 179 billion in 2023. Our new construction spend is expected to decline about 4% to 111 billion. But again, that decline is significantly less than what we were anticipating. Our repair and remodel spending is expected to decline about 8% to 68 billion. And an important data point for people thinking about the market and trying to determine which segment they are interested in getting involved with is understanding our professional remodeling spending is forecast to decline 5%, but the do-it-yourself segment is expected to decline 7%. So one of the things that you want to really be understanding is those differentials, which we'll talk a little bit about in a minute. The long-term outlook remains super strong. One of the reasons, and I know that you in the UK will probably laugh or chuckle a little bit about this, is that we have approximately 22 million homes that are in their prime remodeling years. We consider the age of a home, once it reaches 20 years, is old. It's old enough that we need to really think about remodeling. And that number really drives a lot of the remodeling activity. We are expecting an additional 2.2 million in the next 5 years housing stock to reach that 20-year or plus number. And the other key indicator is that homeowners are sitting on a record level of home equity, which they can tap into to use to remodel. And one of the reasons that they've been sitting on it is because there was concern about interest rate hikes. But as we're seeing interest rates moderating, we believe that that money will be unlocked and invested, especially in the kitchen and bath. And that the renovation and remodel projects being deferred right now because of that moderating interest rate are going to really open up. So as I mentioned, the number for this year, 2023, has been revised to 179 billion. And that is just reflecting the kitchen and bath markets. That is a 21% higher number than pre-pandemic levels, as I mentioned before. And it segments out into new construction and remodeling. So again, keep in mind, these dollars are just around kitchens and baths. For the new construction segment, approximately 62% of that 179 billion is geared towards new construction. Keep in mind that while the Kitchen and Bath Association does support the new construction side of the business, a very large piece of our membership is very involved in the remodeling sector, which represents 38%. Now, before we move off of this, one of the key things to keep in mind is new construction tends to be a more price-sensitive segment. The remodel replacement segment tends to offer higher priced products with larger margin opportunities, which I think is very important when you're considering how you want to approach the marketplace. Again, looking at another way of segmenting the kitchen versus the bath. One of the things that Suzie and I were discussing recently is our surprise at how significantly the bathroom sector has grown in the last couple of years. Obviously, concerns and interest in health and wellness may be one of the big drivers here. We'll also talk about a couple of other drivers, but a key is to keep in mind 92.4 billion is going towards bathrooms, with 86.6 billion going towards kitchens. Pre-pandemic, these numbers were more on average about 50%. So you can see the bathroom is definitely taking a leading role. And another way of segmenting this information is that professional remodeling versus the do-it-yourself segmentation. You can see here that do-it-yourself is expected to represent only about 24 billion, whereas the professional remodeling piece is almost 155 billion. So again, really reinforcing that remodel replacement segment. And this is really a chart to quickly show you where higher income households shop. And this is again to reinforce, as you're thinking about entering the marketplace, if you are entering with higher priced, more luxury oriented products, you're certainly going to want to consider that independent kitchen and bath dealer showroom model, as opposed to the more traditional large big box retail model. Both have a very important place in our marketplace, but as you are considering where those higher income households are shopping, it tends to be that independent retail location. So why has remodeling spend weakened in 2023? I think all of you are very aware of the fact that we've been flirting with concerns about high inflation. Again, very surprised that while we have higher interest rates, which is our second point, inflation has moderated. Interest rates have started to moderate, but there was great concern by most of the consuming public in North America coming into 2023 about that shift in rates causing potential around the high inflation. And then, of course, a reality is higher prices. Many of the products are representing higher price points in general because material costs are also higher. Again, some carryovers from some of the supply chain, but also a great way, frankly, of moderating the challenges in the marketplace. So I mentioned earlier that we execute a quarterly kitchen and bath market index. This market index is very important because it checks on manufacturers, distributors, kitchen and bath dealers, designers, and what they believe their pipelines look like. So it's a very real-time indicator of how things are going. This year, for the first time, we had a market index that was the lowest since 2020 of 56. And so certainly that reflects a lot of the points around the slowing of the marketplace. We do believe that as we come into the fall and are checking on our KBMI, that we will see a shift here. But 56 is indeed the lowest number that we have seen since 2020. Moving into, again, some of the results of the slowing. We're clearly seeing flat sales, declining traffic at showrooms, and negative manufacturer orders. So again, slowdown in the pipeline. However, there is a silver lining to this story. Many manufacturers and distributors and frankly, kitchen and bath dealers are seeing this as conditions returning to more normal levels, which allow them to get back into better service positions. And so consequently, when it was difficult to obtain certain products, there were a number of substitutions being made, and they were not necessarily being made towards the higher end of the marketplace. They were being made towards whatever product was available at the time. So this returning to more normal conditions is giving us a better sense of moderating, frankly, all of the product selections in the line. And even though we've had these slowdowns, we still believe the marketplace is really, really strong. One of the reasons is that the members of our association, whom we're checking with through the KBMI on the quarterly basis, have said that 50% of them have said that they expect revenues to be higher in 2024 than they were this year. What's key here is that the manufacturers, when we segment them out exclusively, believe 60% of them believe that their revenues will be higher as well. So again, some of this may be a combination of adjusting pricing, but also clearly there are more people coming back into the marketplace. One of our partners in the market research arena at NKBA is an organization referred to as Zonda in North America. And one of their key economists is Todd Tomalak. Todd is someone that you may have heard a number of things from in the past, and he refers to this decade, that is 2020 to 2030, as the golden age of remodeling. He believes that there is a small, albeit true, recession that kind of has happened for a short period of time within the decade, but that frankly, the next 7 years are poised for really significant growth. He is the person who was suggesting and predicting pre-pandemic that last quarter before the pandemic was going to be on fire, which indeed it was. And he feels very strongly that the next 7 years, for a number of the reasons that we've already discussed, are really setting us up for a very, very powerful market. There are 5 key drivers of both short and long-term remodeling demand that we'd like to share with you. The first is mortgage rates. We all know that the mortgage rate increases over the last year in North America have been a concern. They've contributed to the slowdown. However, they have moderated. And while we like to think that the increases in mortgage rates in the last year have been impactful, when we think back and look at the long tail discussions, the truth of the matter is this is still a very strong market in which to borrow money. I like to talk about the fact that when I bought my first home 40 years ago, I was working on an interest rate of 18%. So 5 to 6% interest rate is still a very reasonable, realistic interest rate. And 80% of the outstanding mortgages are locked in at an interest rate that is below 5%. So what we're seeing is that people who have purchased homes are likely to stay in those homes who have a mortgage rate under 5%. Those homes are poised for remodeling. The other point that we mentioned earlier is this incredible home equity that is locked up in households right now. There's a record level of home equity, so much so that we look at the number as approximately $333,000 inflation-adjusted increase of $59,000 since 2019. That it bodes very well for us because if indeed people are poised to remodel and are comfortable going and borrowing money at a 5 or 6% rate, they've got a lot of equity from which to borrow. So this allows us to actually consider people really getting ready now that mortgage rates have leveled off to go in and take out their home equity lines of credit and unlock that money for remodeling. The third point is home price appreciation. So in spite of the fact that we have a little bit higher interest rate situation, we have about 114% increase in home appreciation since 2012. That's a very, very important number because it's obviously suggesting that the homes have value that, again, can be unlocked. What's also important about this grid is for you to see where those markets are that have the largest home price appreciation. As you're thinking about the North American market, if you're interested in a regional approach, you may want to consider looking at the state of Florida. Miami, Tampa, and a number of other locations in Florida are indexing tremendously high in terms of home price appreciation. And what you'll notice is cities like Washington, D.C., New York, Philadelphia, and LA are not the top performers. So as you are, considering where you want to start to plant your opportunity, you may want to look very closely at this chart to understand regionally where your best opportunities might exist. Our fourth point, as we mentioned earlier, is the aging housing stock. So again, mentioned that there were 22 million homes in their prime remodeling years, but key here is by 2027, nearly 25 million homes in North America will be in their prime remodeling years. So again, we consider the age of remodeling to begin at around 20 to 39 years, where people are unlocking that equity and making sure that they are remodeling, especially the kitchens and baths. And then lastly, number 5, even though this sounds counterintuitive, as we see mortgage rates leveling off, there are a number of people who still do not own homes in this country, but want to. There is a mini baby boom happening at the younger millennial Gen Y groups, and consequently, there is a need for more home ownership. There's a desire for more home ownership. So the goal here is to obviously capitalize on all of that and to make sure that indeed, as these new homeowners take possession, they will be thinking, especially if they're buying homes that are older, about remodeling almost right on the heels of the acquisition. So one of the things that we shared at KBIS last year were a couple of data points that we found our international guests were very interested in learning about. And one is the typical size of, and therefore spend on the remodeling of a kitchen. First of all, when we think about the average size of a kitchen in North America, the medium-sized kitchen is somewhere between 15 and 35 square meters. And when we think about the amount of money that tends to be invested in remodeling or building a kitchen in that size, it's about $66,000. Importantly, though, you should note that 13% of the spending on those projects can be upwards of $100,000. Americans love their kitchens, and so there is no fear about investing in them. Our last point on this slide is for the average spend on a large kitchen, which would measure something above 35 square meters. And that typically is about $130,000. So as you're thinking about the money that Americans are interested in investing in kitchens and the size and scale of those spaces, we wanted to make sure you had this data point. So looking ahead, there are a couple of key points. Growth. The kitchen and bath industry is growing. It's clearly the next decade is expected to be very, very healthy. And the remodeling portion of the business is going to be driven principally by pent-up demand, aging homes, and the mini baby boom. There's tremendous opportunity. Kitchen remodels especially offer the most growth opportunity because homeowners really do not want dated appliances, fixtures, and materials in this space. It's a very public space. It's a space where they spend the majority of their time. And so it tends to be one of the spaces, as you just saw, where they will be happy to spend the money. Okay, so now I'd like to turn it back to Suzie to take a minute to speak a little bit about our Global Connect program and then also about the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show 2024. Suzie?
Thank you, Sherry. Global Connect is a program that we started about 7 years ago, and it's an omnidirectional program that was designed to support the international manufacturers and distributors and help them understand what it's like to enter and expand into the North American kitchen and bath market. We kind of like to look at it as a pathway to success in coming into the market because it is complicated. We have 3 different parts of this. We have the Strategic Alliance Partnership, and this is international organizations or trade associations who wish to foster international growth for the kitchen and bath industry among their members, introducing it to their members to help them come to the North American market. The next is Global Connect memberships, in which the international manufacturers and product producers that want to extend into this market can do it with some information, especially in the North American market, by helping them understand it through the program. And then the NKBA member buyers, which are kitchen and bath designers, showrooms, dealers, retailers that are expanding their source for products. The American designer, builder, and remodeler have always had a romance with products from across the pond, as we say it. And we do feel a responsibility to make sure that they get to see all of the wonderful products that are made throughout the world. Consequently, that's why Global Connect exists. The goals of the Strategic Alliance Partnership is to connect the international kitchen and bath organizations globally so that we can all exchange knowledge. Exchanging knowledge between the countries and the different ways we go to market is a really important thing to do to make this industry grow worldwide. To expand the visibility of our association, which was important to us, and we have fostered relationships with these different associations throughout the world. We actually, I don't think this is totally updated yet, because we have 19 associations that we call Strategic Alliance Partners that we are now working with throughout the world, something that we are really very proud of. And then there's the member program, and the goals of that are to connect the international kitchen and bath organizations and associations, exchange ideas, expand visibility, and cross-promote the partner associations to North America and our association to other countries. Our Global Connect program is pretty robust. We do a lot. These are some of the events that we have done, both virtually and in person. We have a couple of virtual ones that we've done. The market outlooks that we have this summit is a virtual summit. We have the Global Connect Anima Conference that we've done, that we'll be doing in November. In February, we have the Global Connect programming at our trade show, which is KBIS. Then we have the Milan Buyers Tour that we're preparing for April. In May and June, we're doing the International Kitchen Bath Summit for Alliance Partners. That date is not quite decided yet. In May of 24, we'll be doing the Virtual Market Outlook Summit for Q1. And then in June, we'll be doing the Pavilion programming. In September of 2024, we'll be at IFA. October 2024 Market Outlook Summit again for Q2. And this is just a portion of what we'll be doing. There's other trade shows we'll be attending just to get the relationships in good order and to make sure we spread the information about our market. One of my favorite subjects is KBIS 2024. Our trade show is wonderful. It is owned by our association. So the NKBA actually owns the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show, and this is the leading event for our industry in North America. We co-locate during this with the International Builders Show. We call it Design and Construction Week, which is the combination of the International Builders Show, owned by the National Association of Home Builders, and KBIS, which is owned by NKBA, as I said. Between these two shows, we take up all 4 halls of the Las Vegas Convention Center. It's over 1.1 million square feet, which is over 100,000 square meters. We have 1,800 exhibitors. This year, we have an expectation of about 110,000 attendees. The show is quite something. It's an expanded audience this year. We are reaching out. We have a lot of first-time people that are attending. Our registration opened up in September, so it's already, we're seeing an increase in the attendance registration. Our show will be from February 27th through the 29th. If you do decide to come, we suggest you're in place before the 26th, because we have our first opening event the night of the 26th. As I said before, it's 100,000 square meters. And we have a lot of programming on the show floor on our next stage. And then we have a conference. Conference is very robust, over 80 tracks in that conference. There are constant activities in all the halls. And this year we'll have the new luxury lounge. We'll have a global connect lounge that you can go to and meet people from other countries that are also interested in doing business in the U.S. And we will have kiosks that, and I might have 1 or 2 left, I'm not sure, where you can have an opportunity in a very small space to tell people about your product, and spotlights where you can talk about it. This is kind of a portion, a very tiny portion of the floor plan that shows where the Global Connect area will be. We will have a delegation that is coming. It's an international delegation, which you can be a part of. The delegation actually starts on the 25th and it goes through the 29th. Global Connect will be in the South Hall, so if you come and you're not part of the delegation, make sure you come to the South Hall. This year, we have multiple international pavilions. We have a UK pavilion, an Italian pavilion, a German pavilion, Brazil, Turkey, and Spain. And then we will have the Global Connect Lounge and the Global Connect kiosks and spotlights, all to highlight this program. The Global Connect Lounge, this is a rendering of how this is going to look. It has brand-sponsored happy hours and breakfast events, branded spotlight events, meeting spaces to where you can talk to someone, VIP access for educational programming and networking, and you will be able to meet designers, meet the other delegates, meet distributors. It will be a very busy area where we will also have market outlook presentations, and we will have some delegate offsite events, which will be entertaining, fun, and educational. This is a picture of the brand kiosks that we have put up for this year, where you can see there's a screen. The beauty of this is it gives someone who is not yet in the marketplace the opportunity to show their product virtually, put their toes in the water, and figure out whether or not the U.S. market is interested in your product and what changes you might need to make it successful to distribute throughout the U.S. and Canada. These kiosks are adjacent to the Global Connect pavilions, and we've done these before and have found that they are very successful, and a couple of our multi-year members have done a really good job of building their businesses by starting with this. The International Pavilion program is really in collaboration with our strategic alliance partners. It's subsidized in some areas by our alliance partners. They have been very supportive of this, and the marketing support has been great. We've also had some countries that the governments have gotten involved and helped subsidize these pavilions. The International Pavilion Program is it's in collaboration with these partners, and there's a lot of marketing support that goes forward. I think I've already said all this, so we can move forward. All right. The delegation program. The delegation program, I really feel, is one of the most important things we do, because it gives the Global Connect members and the strategic alliance partners the opportunity to really get immersed in the show, to see all the different aspects of it. You get free access as either a strategic alliance partner and a Global Connect member to our VIP events, the State of the Industry address, which is very important. It's put on by our CEO, Bill Darcy, where he talks about what's going on in the design industry and really what's going on in our association, which is the heartbeat of the kitchen and bath industry in the North American market. The Global Connect delegate program for a subscriber comes with your membership, and if you're not a subscriber, it's $450 to attend as a delegation member. So I will let it go on that, and I will turn it over to Veronika, who's going to talk to us about the 2024 design trends.
I think we might have lost. Oh no, she's there. She's there.
She's here. She's here. Am I here?
You are, yes. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. I will say my excuse, I'm somewhere in the hinterland of Italy, so the signal might not be as great as one might want, but this is what we got. If you have any trouble hearing me, please let me know. Sherry's on standby to cover for me if that's necessary.
You're loud and
thank you,
clear at the
Suzie.
moment.
Excellent. That's the way I like it. Some people might beg to differ, but there we go. Thank you very much, Suzie and Sherry, for all of that amazing information. That was a lot. So I'm going to look at design somewhat on a lighter note, but really not. I think we have some really important topics on the trends side here. And I'd like to back into how NKBA does its trend forecast each year. And the method for this uses as basis for the study an online survey of NKBA members with a very specific focus on designers, showrooms, manufacturers, remodelers, and architects. 60% of the replies are from designers. So that's an important segment in the North American market, and a bit different in terms of their place in the world in North America as well. So they're definitely a group that we look at very carefully when it comes to buying behavior. As Sherry had addressed earlier already, I want to repeat what's the sizes that average between 25 and 35 square meters in the American kitchens is significantly higher than in most European or British kitchens. That's an average, and many kitchens far exceed 50 square meters or 500 square feet. So those are important numbers as you're thinking about delivering product to the North American market, because that doesn't only mean more product required to fill the space, but as we'll hear in a minute, often duplicate products in terms of sinks, taps, even appliances that we're doubling up on. The typical spend, again, I'll just reiterate, is kind of on a typical medium, $66,000 per kitchen, and rises well above $150,000, comfortably into $250,000 bracket on the luxury kitchen side. The typical clients remain boomers and Gen X, but with clear signs of increased business from millennials, which also sees an increase in fully virtual projects of 9% of projects amongst millennials versus 4% fully virtual design projects with boomers and Gen X. So the new generations that are popping into the market right now will be great new opportunities, but also great challenges. So staying tuned to the market research coming from NKBA is key as we start navigating new waters with younger people. So talking about the kitchens first, and I'm assuming we might have a real mix here today in our audience of kitchens, but I have a slight suspicion maybe more on the bathroom side, so we'll get to that separately. Kitchens continue to grow in importance as hubs of the home, with a focus on clean, contemporary design connected to the outside, and with an emphasis on healthy living. And I'd like to review 5 key trends with you right now. First one is a personalized design trend, which ranges from color to design preferences, smart storage, and multiple dedicated workspaces, all the way to smart technology that helps manage appliances and lighting in particular. The vast majority of homeowners is asking for a unique and personalized design, which indicates a big change in direction from design that would normally be heavily driven by a desire to achieve a high resale, which limited customization to some extent. We're now showing that younger buyers in particular are becoming much more prominent part of the market, and they want what they want when they want it. And that includes unique design and personalized spaces. Trend number 2 is an increased need for connection to nature. That was always a big word, but we're now really seeing this in the execution. This is driven by a greater need for healthy lifestyles. Much of that was formed by habits created during the pandemic, and those are not going away anytime soon, both in terms of emotional and physical wellness, however. So it's good nutrition, but it's also about a healthy mindset. So those biophilic elements from connecting to the outdoors are just becoming more and more important. 66% of clients are asking for larger windows, glass doors, completely doors that pocket out of the way to make space transition seamless. And they're asking for more natural light and, again, those visible outdoor spaces and the benefits of biophilia in their design space. In addition to being open to the outdoors, there remains a strong trend towards open plan kitchens, with walls being removed and areas open to other living spaces being a common part of kitchen design projects. And that is partly why our kitchen remodeling costs are so much higher. We've never seen a wall that we didn't hate. And in American kitchen design, we'll do that. We'll remove walls pretty much willy-nilly. We're very, very good at that and opening up those spaces. That is still a higher trend than trying to keep the kitchen separately. Trend number 3 is a much cleaner look. I know we use the word minimalist here, but sometimes that's interpreted a little bit differently. For us, it's certainly minimalist. It means it's uncluttered. It is more modern, and it reflects in both the space plan and storage solutions. Big note there for anybody that creates interior storage solutions, as well as in things like door style selections. So we do like to have those cleaner spaces now. This here is an important number for kitchen product manufacturers. That 58% of designers say clients are now asking for modern or contemporary styles. In other words, the majority of homeowners are now often looking towards European styles and products for their home. So this is, of course, important when we're talking to your market. Trend number 4 is a stronger demand for sustainably designed and produced projects, including LED lighting at 82% of projects, waste separation storage at 68%, as well as a desire for VOC-free paints, energy-efficient water heaters, saving faucets, and natural light sources through low E windows and skylights. That's for the kitchen and the bath. I'm sure I'll reiterate that when we get to the bath, because some of that definitely is visible in all areas of the home. We will also look more closely at recycled countertop materials and composting options, as well as induction cooking and improved ventilation solutions. So on the appliance front, there's going to be a big shift towards those two, and cleaner air in the home is definitely a big part of that conversation. For our number 4 trend, it is all about the islands. When you have 30, 40, 50 square meter or 500 square foot kitchens, it's obviously not just nice to have big islands, it's imperative to make the workflow work. Large kitchens definitely benefit from islands, and kitchen islands not only further increase in size, the focus here is on smart storage solutions, as I said before, to keep those areas clutter-free, and which also support the trend towards less overhead cabinetry. So that look is definitely here to stay. Islands serve multiple purposes for us, including charging station, workstations, homework areas, dining area, food prep, wine storage, you name it. They are really the workhorses in our kitchen. They of course define the social element that everybody loves in the kitchen, because that's where all the interesting people go, right? At any party. What we're also seeing now is that double islands are not uncommon to create improved traffic flow, especially in the bigger kitchens. 87% of designers tell us, whoops, we've moved a little bit too fast, Lucy, thank you. 87% of designers tell us that their clients want either larger islands for those multiple work areas, or they even request those double islands I just mentioned. And that's easy enough when you're working with spaces that range from 30 square meters on up. And of course, for manufacturers, considering our market, as I said, going into this means more cabinetry, often multiple sinks and taps and appliances all within the same space. It also means another thing, that as we're keeping areas sleek, sometimes also not very kitchen-y looking by hiding cabinet runs behind pocket doors, we are big friends of walk-in pantries and butler pantries. And those are, that they usually are in a separate space. There's a door that hides those areas. And oftentimes that's where we'll see more sinks, more taps, another dishwasher, and so on. So using the kitchen to break it down into multiple workspaces, some of which are hidden for storage and for work, is also something we're seeing more and more of. Finally, the color is a big final word on the kitchen side. We love our contrasting color islands. Now you can move on, Lucy. Thank you. Either the contrasting kitchen islands in bold colors, or the entire kitchen in a strong color, particularly with emphasis on greens and blues. And I'm sure you're seeing that here in the UK as well. Now we're moving on to the bath area. The operative word here is home spa. And much like in the kitchen, a strong desire for personalization and unique features. Trend number 1 is a need for a quiet, retreat-like environment away from the stressors of daily life. We all know it, and we're all fighting back and saying, give me respite in the space in my house. So that quiet space is very, very important. In larger homes, we're actually seeing a trend towards a separate home spa areas away from the primary bathroom, so that an entire family can enjoy a sanctuary space with a focus on wellness and health, and for the entire family. And secondary baths are no longer afterthoughts either, but they benefit from wellness features as well, especially steam showers and larger shower areas. So even those areas used to be sort of, an afterthought, and now they're really not. We want our children and guests to feel just as good as the rest of us do in the home. To further enhance well-being, the selected finishes are very organic, with a strong desire for texture, earthy tones, and furniture elements that make our bathrooms more livable and restful. Trend number 2 is ease of maintenance. That might even seem a little bit counter to all the textures that we're looking for. It is and it isn't. What we're talking about here is especially threshold-free design. Low threshold or no threshold showers come into play, which is a very important aspect for what I assume are some of the viewers today in this webinar. So that's definitely a big topic. Beyond that, on low maintenance requirements also play into a much bigger conversation around aging in place and multi-generational living trends. This is important as more and more homeowners consider staying in their home longer, possibly even for life, and bringing back their children for a number of reasons. Their grown children with their families and or aging parents. Some of that is cost-driven. Senior care, for instance, is becoming more and more expensive, as I'm sure it is in the UK as well. And here we now create spaces that can be separated for independent living, but that do require those aging in place features. Another big element are self-cleaning and smart toilets that are trending upwards much more notably than they have done in prior years. Trend number 3, very much like in the kitchen, there's a strong need for customized spaces, which includes pre-programmable temperature controls, smart shower features, lighting control settings, and again, as I said earlier, the smart toilets. In terms of visual customization, homeowners are very interested in statement elements like tile feature walls and interesting taps and vessels. If you can move forward, please, over those next couple slides. That one right there is what I was looking for. So we're definitely looking for interesting looking taps, interesting looking vessel sinks very often. I just left Versailles here and there was not a regular sink to be found. It was all vessels. And of course, these accent walls and unique tile elements, murals, and even wallpaper are key to personalize the space. Trend number 4 is a larger change in direction, yet again, with a pronounced request for sustainable options in all areas of the home, including the bathroom, with a focus on water conservation and energy efficiency. So we're getting there. We're doing the right thing. If you can please move forward on to the next slide. Or maybe I'm just not seeing it. I might have a little bit of a lag, but I'll let Lucy catch up with me here. All right, thank you. So we're looking for the energy efficiency, and beyond that, we're seeing strong interest in sustainable flooring, radiant heat elements, and recycled materials whenever possible. 57% of designers point out the importance of VOC-free paint. Again, that's a very high number for us. Much like in the kitchen, we're seeing a need for natural light through larger windows, skylights, and again, those low E filters that are very, very important to manage heating and cooling. And frankly, almost a summary of what I just said, people are looking for a personal statement rather than focus only on resale value. The home, and especially the bathroom, has to work for them and provide them with an environment that encourages physical and emotional well-being. One more word about aging in place, multi-generational living. Because they're so important, we are more actively looking for solutions that make bathrooms and especially showers safe. Thanks for catching up with me here. That's great. And then finally, it's all about the bathroom experience. It's a refuge. It is an area that, again, if I have to summarize it up, just like the kitchen, that North Americans are very, very excited to spend a lot of money on and a lot of time in. So both of those spaces are huge opportunities for you now and in the future. And now I'm going to hand it back to Suzie. Thank you.
Hi, Suzie, can you hear us? Let me see if I can unmute you.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, sorry. This
That's
is good.
okay.
We have made it through this, even with all of our technical.
Yes, we have. Thank you very much.
Lucy, to you and all of the viewers, thank you so much for your patience during our technical difficulties. This rarely happens, and to do it when we're all out of the country is a little stressful, but I hope everybody enjoyed it. So in closing, I just want to say, act now. Be a part of this, whether you do this as a subscriber, and of course, we're more than willing to have conversations with any of you at any time. Please plan to come to KBIS. Please plan to be part of our delegation and come see what it is that the North American market, our wonderful association, and our show can offer all of you. And thank you so much for putting this together. I hope that it was productive.
It was absolutely fascinating to hear the sort of differences between our market and your market. It's yeah, I mean, there are some really massive differences, aren't there, in the different trends and the different. I mean, obviously there's some similarities as well in the drivers for sort of remodeling. But yeah, it was really interesting. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
I'm persevering through the technology blips. I do appreciate that.
It kind of gave it personality, you know?
Exactly. So thank you very much for joining us. If anyone's got any questions at all, feel free to email through to ldixon@lyricalcomms.com and I will pass them on. And yeah, hopefully I will see you soon, or maybe in Vegas.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.